Never in a million years did I think I'd find myself at the center of a bomb scare, let alone that my life-saving oxygen tank would be the suspected bomb. Even more shocking was Karen mistakes my oxygen tank for a weapon, calls bomb squad on me. Here's how it all went down. I'm a 34-year-old man who lives in a small town in New England. I was diagnosed with a respiratory condition a few years ago, which necessitates the use of an oxygen tank. Despite this, I try to lead an active lifestyle and enjoy spending time outdoors. I have a background in computer science and work as a software engineer, a job that I can thankfully do remotely. I've always been a peaceful, introverted person who enjoys reading and spending time in nature. I never thought my need for a portable oxygen tank would lead to one of the most bizarre and unsettling encounters of my life. It all started on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting on a bench at the park, enjoying the fresh air and the tranquility that came with it. My oxygen tank was beside me, a constant companion that ensured I could enjoy such simple pleasures despite my condition. Enter Karen. From the moment she appeared, I could tell she was going to be trouble. With a scowl that seemed permanently etched onto her face, she marched over to me, her eyes locked onto my oxygen tank with a mix of curiosity and disdain. "What is that thing?" she demanded, pointing at my tank with a manicured finger. "It's my oxygen tank," I replied, trying to keep my tone friendly. "I need it to breathe properly." Karen scoffed, her skepticism written all over her face. "That doesn't look like any oxygen tank I've ever seen. It looks dangerous." I chuckled, thinking she was joking. "Well, I assure you it's just oxygen. See?" I gestured towards the nasal cannula that ran from the tank to my nose. But Karen wasn't convinced. "I don't believe you. That could be anything. It could be a bomb for all I know." I laughed again, this time a bit nervously. "A bomb? Really, it's just medical equipment." But Karen was on a mission. "I'm calling the police. You can't be too safe these days." Before I could protest, she had her phone out and was dialing with a ferocity that made me uneasy. I tried to reason with her to explain the absurdity of her accusation, but she wouldn't listen. She moved a few steps away, speaking in hushed, urgent tones to whoever was on the other end of the line. Minutes later, the sound of sirens filled the air. My heart sank as I realized Karen had actually done it. She had called the bomb squad on me. People around us started to notice, their curious gazes turning into worried stares. I felt like a spectacle, a freak show attraction, all because of my oxygen tank. The police arrived, their expressions serious as they approached. "Sir, we received a report of a suspicious device. Can you explain what this is?" one officer asked, nodding towards my tank. "That's my oxygen tank," I said, my frustration growing. "I have a medical condition. It's not a weapon or a bomb or anything dangerous." Karen interrupted, her voice shrill with fear and accusation. "Don't listen to him. He's lying. It's a bomb. I know it." The officers exchanged glances, clearly unsure of how to proceed. One of them radioed for backup while the other began to question me further, asking for proof of my medical condition, which I provided through documents I always carried for such situations. As we waited for the bomb squad to arrive, Karen stood a safe distance away, watching the drama unfold with a mix of fear and satisfaction. I couldn't believe this was happening. All I wanted was a peaceful afternoon in the park, and now I was being treated like a criminal because of Karen's paranoia. The bomb squad finally arrived, and after a thorough examination of my oxygen tank, they confirmed what I had been saying all along. It was just an oxygen tank. There was no bomb, no threat, just a man trying to enjoy a day outside. The officers apologized for the inconvenience, explaining that they had to take all threats seriously in today's climate. Karen, however, was unrepentant. "Better safe than sorry," she muttered, casting one last disdainful look my way before storming off. The crowd that had gathered began to disperse, their excitement over the non-event fading. I was left sitting on the bench, my oxygen tank beside me, feeling a mix of relief and disbelief. The encounter with Karen had left a sour taste in my mouth. It was a stark reminder of how quick people are to judge, to fear what they don't understand. I couldn't help but wonder how many other innocent people had been subjected to such baseless accusations, their lives disrupted by paranoia and ignorance. As I made my way home, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Karen's actions were not just annoying and stubborn, they were dangerous. Her willingness to provoke such a serious response over a baseless suspicion was not only repulsive, but a sad commentary on the state of our society. I realized then that my encounter with Karen was more than just an unfortunate incident. It was a call to action. We need to do better, to educate ourselves and others, to approach the unknown with curiosity and empathy rather than fear and suspicion. Only then can we hope to live in a world where people like me can sit in a park without fear of being accused of harboring a bomb. But for now, I just hoped I'd never run into another Karen again. Wow, what a wild story, folks. Goes to show you never know what the day has in store for you. Poor guy was just trying to enjoy his day at the park. Oxygen tank mistaken for a bomb? That's a new one. Goes to show we really need more awareness and understanding out there. Remember, folks, don't jump to conclusions. Peace and love, everyone. Caught between the love for my boyfriend and the dread of his overbearing mother, I found myself facing a dilemma of epic proportions. As the moving day approached, the question looming in my mind grew louder. Should I let my boyfriend and his family move to my state, or should I end the relationship? Here's how it all went down. This could be quite a lengthy story, but I will try to condense it as much as possible. I, a 23-year-old female, have been in a long-distance relationship with my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, for 4 years. He is my best friend, and I truly love him. Even though I am asking this question, I probably already know my answer, but I am having a difficult time accepting it. Should I end my relationship or continue it and allow my boyfriend to move to my state with his family? He is planning to move here in April with his parents, and I do not have much time left to make a decision. I am feeling a lot of doubt despite my feelings for him. I am worried about his mother, a 49-year-old female. I have so many lengthy stories I could share, but I will really try to keep it brief. I have noticed so many red flags, but because we are in a long-distance relationship, I can forgive them once I get home and am away from her. Since I only visit for a week about every other month, I feel I do not even know half of what is to come in the future if I marry into this family. For the short periods of time that I have been in person with his family, I always have several experiences that cause me to feel doubt, but everything else about him is so amazing to me that I can forgive them once I am home. Soon, that will not be the case if they move to my state. He initially was going to move here on his own, but without discussing it with me, planned for his family to come as well. This did not initially upset me so much at first because I assumed his family would probably follow eventually. He is an only child. Up until now, I had not thought a lot about what it would be like for them to be here too. I only imagined him. I get along with his mother because I am a gentle person. She is extremely hot-headed, pushy, and overbearing. I do not enjoy being around her, and she makes me feel exhausted. There have been many things she has said to me that have been passive-aggressive comments, but I have ignored them and always remained respectful to her. I don't like confrontation, but she is a, if you have a problem with me, say it to my face sort of person. We are really close right now, but I genuinely believe that if I had just a little more of a backbone, she would dislike me. I know that makes me sound so insincere, but I just wanted to build a good relationship with her. She cannot take no for an answer, and I am so bad at saying no. I will say no to her 1,000,000 times and she does not give up. She will just do what she wants. My boyfriend and his mother are extremely close. His biological father left when he was around 3, and his mother remarried when he was 5. His stepdad, a 56-year-old male, is like a real father to him, and they get along very well. His mother and father have a healthy relationship, and that makes me happy. His mother has pulled me aside multiple times throughout my visits to tell me that her son is number one in her life, even before her husband. She pulls me aside very often to make comments like that. She also often texts me about how sweet and amazing he is. He currently lives with his parents because he is saving money to move in with me. He has previously lived apart from his parents for 2 years in an apartment which was less than 5 minutes away from their house. When he moved out, his mother cried uncontrollably for several days. His parents are constantly doting on him. When I am visiting, they knock on his door several times a day to talk to us. When I am not there, they constantly enter his room without knocking when we are on a phone call together. It is more his mother than his father, but it can be his father sometimes. His mother will enter his room, sit on his bed, and just listen to our conversation. She often complains that he does not spend enough time with her or eat with her. Since I am not there in person, he and his mother go out one-on-one for meals several times a week. This does not bother me because I also like spending time with my mother, but her complaining about him not doing it enough is concerning to me, as it seems more than enough already. In addition to this, she is constantly texting and calling him when we are together. I only get to see him in person every so often, so it makes me sad when she calls him and they talk on the phone for a while when they live together and see each other all the time. He tells her everything that we do each day, all of our plans, sends pictures of our food, and their messages are filled with heart emojis. This did not bother me initially because I am glad he has a good relationship with her, but since then, so much has built up and caused me more concern about how involved she is in his life. I do not know how much he texts her when I am not there, but she calls him every day when he drives to work. She has convinced him that he is 6, tall, and repeatedly comments on how tall he is. I don't want to burst his bubble because he genuinely believes that he is that tall, but he is probably more like 5'9". I don't care how tall he is perfect to me, but it's strange how his mother idealizes his height. Every time I visit, at least once, she touches his arms and goes on and on about how amazing and big his muscles are. She snuggles up against him when we are on the couch, and they always hug when we say goodnight to them. Maybe this is normal. My parents are not very physically affectionate. I would describe him as independent. He diligently handles tasks such as cooking, cleaning, and running errands. While his mother currently assists with his laundry and occasionally helps with cooking and cleaning, he also contributes, and I believe he is capable of managing these tasks independently. Throughout most of our relationship, we typically had dinner with his parents every time I visited, took his mother out for lunch, and spent evenings with his parents. We would always spend some time in conversation with his parents after returning from our outings. While 30 minutes might not seem long, it adds up when we only see each other every few months. When he visits me, we sometimes don't share a meal with my family at all because I prefer to maximize our alone time. We've taken several trips with his family, spending virtually all our waking hours together. For our 3rd anniversary, we joined his parents on a week-long cruise. After 2 days, I asked him if we could have some alone time. He agreed, but when the time came, his mother asked to join us, and he agreed. His reaction to my visible annoyance created tension between us for the rest of the trip. After that experience, we had a serious talk, and since then, we've reduced the time spent with his parents during my visits. However, his mother has become increasingly passive-aggressive towards me, making veiled criticisms about my appearance and qualities. A recent dinner with his parents brought a new concern. Instead of discussing their potential move to my state, they expressed concern about my older brother's behavior towards my boyfriend. My brother has severe social anxiety, and I had previously warned my boyfriend about this. However, my boyfriend took my brother's rudeness personally and often brings it up. His parents echoed his concern, criticizing my brother and my parents' upbringing. They stated they'd confront my brother if he was rude in their presence. This made me uncomfortable, as I don't want to cause conflict between our families. Afterwards, his mother asked me about our future plans, suggesting I should want to have children now and live day by day, rather than planning ahead. She also revealed that she had purposely become pregnant despite her former husband expressing he wasn't ready for children. This alarmed me, especially as she often portrays herself as a victim, and my boyfriend sympathizes with her deeply. She recently expressed her desire to be a young grandma, stating she wants me to have children as soon as possible. She doesn't want to appear old in photos with her grandchildren and made the conversation about us having children seem like it's about her. A few months ago, I mentioned wanting to be a stay-at-home mom if I have kids, but she recommended I should work and provide for myself. My boyfriend reassured me that his mother could help with childcare while I work, but I would only consider having children if we can afford for me to be a stay-at-home mom. I love working, but if I have kids, I would prefer to care for them at home until they're older. His mother opposes this plan, possibly because she wants to be the primary caregiver. However, I'm hesitant to entrust someone with a hot temper to raise my children. There were a few uncomfortable incidents during our last trip involving his mother, including her handling something I had just bought in a way I had asked her not to. When I privately expressed my discomfort to my boyfriend, he became defensive and we didn't speak much for the rest of the day. His mother has already invited herself to a concert my boyfriend and I plan to attend once he moves here. After the last trip, I discussed my concerns about his mother with him. At first, he didn't understand why I was upset, but when he realized how serious I was, he promised to set boundaries and improve things. However, I'm still doubtful about continuing the relationship without seeing these boundaries in action. His solution was to move to my state first, without his parents. When he discussed this with his mother during one of their frequent one-on-one dinners, she insisted that she would follow him within 2-3 months, stating that she might move there whether he liked it or not. He didn't set any boundaries during this conversation, which is concerning given that it occurred just hours after I told him I might end the relationship if he couldn't set boundaries. I worry that his mother will resent me for stealing her son, or that my boyfriend and I will constantly argue about her. Although he claims he can set boundaries, his actions thus far suggest otherwise. A recent incident where he didn't speak to me for a day after I expressed discomfort about his mother's behavior is particularly troubling. The question is it worth being with the man of my dreams if it means dealing with his overbearing mother? I love him, but I don't think I can be happy with her in the picture. I'm also unsure if I can accept and tolerate his mother. Their relationship is too close, and she's difficult to be around. I don't want her controlling my future. I'm preparing for the worst as we transition from a long-distance relationship to living close together. I worry about regretting their decision to uproot their lives and move across the country. My boyfriend is loyal, thoughtful, selfless, and my best friend. However, his relationship with his mother is causing me to question if this relationship is right. Reflecting on the story, it's clear this is a difficult and emotionally charged situation. It's also a testament to the impact family dynamics can have on a romantic relationship. The protagonist is caught between love for her boyfriend and discomfort around his intrusive mother. It's a situation that demands careful thought, open communication, and setting of boundaries. It's a reminder that in relationships, it's not only the connection between the two individuals that matters, but also how they interact with and relate to each other's families. I never thought a harmless prank would lead to such a chaotic whirlwind. Was I the jerk for creating a glitter bomb gift that ended up being stolen? From dealing with theft to facing a crowd of outraged volunteers, here's how it all went down. I'm not sure if this is the right place to get answers, but I'm really confused and scared. Background. I am looking for some extra work to earn money for the holidays. I found a job on Facebook where the task was to help with the presents for an event that would be held on Christmas. I responded and met with the program director, who recognized me as one of his old students from middle school. After a bit of catching up, he gave me the job and trusted me to take care of the presents for the event. I didn't sign any paperwork and was doing this for gas money, about $240, and Christmas dinner. Now, the director introduced me to some other people helping him with the program, where people donate gifts to give less fortunate kids or to the after-school program. Sadly, they have had issues with people trying to steal the gifts. The job was originally just to keep track of the gifts, but after discussing with him about how someone could steal them, he let me take the gifts and kept them at my job. My boss gave me the okay to store the gifts in a closet that wasn't being used, and only a few people had the key to. The reason for that is because some expensive gifts were donated, and I was paranoid about keeping them at my home. Unfortunately, my paranoia was completely justified, as when I got home today I found a strange lady in my living room. She asked for my name and I only nodded before she told me to give back the gifts. I didn't know what she was talking about and she told me she was the director's wife. Without thinking, I told her the director is gay. She claimed to be his ex-wife and started to yell and curse at me. I called for my brother when she started to hit me. Once he came, she ran out the door but tossed a garden decoration through our window. My brother chased after her, but she got away. I texted the director about his wife and tried to calm down. My brother got some of her license plate number, but we don't know if we should wait to hear from the director or just report this to the cops now. Neither of us have ever met the woman before, but the director is somewhat well known, having been a teacher for a long time. I've got some bruises, a broken window, and very little money. I'm scared she'll come back and try to break in to find the gifts that were never there. I've picked up some work from an old teacher of mine that involves decorating and wrapping gifts for a program he is the director of. They have had problems with gifts being stolen before, but still want the Christmas tree to have gifts under it. Where I work, I can get a lot of boxes and scored a good deal on some wrapping paper and ribbons. So I got some empty boxes from work and wrapped them up using pine cones to give them some weight. Only in the last one, I placed a red and silver glitter bomb inside. To be sure, and maybe use it as a prank later, I used the ribbons to mark the gift boxes and took pictures in case I forget. There was a total of 9 placed under the tree. Not even a week after putting them out, 3 gifts go missing. A bit worried but mostly annoyed, the director and I brushed it off but told the other volunteers to keep their eyes open. The day after, one of the volunteers is yelling at the receptionist while covered in red and silver glitter. The woman mistakenly believed that they had gifted her 2 children, an 8-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, only to discover that the gifts contained trash from the yard. When she opened the 3rd gift, her entire house was filled with glitter. She demanded compensation for cleaning and emotional distress. However, the director dismissed her demands with laughter and asked her to leave. I learned about this incident today from a volunteer who criticized the glitter bomb as a mean-spirited prank. Despite my argument that the gift had been stolen, other volunteers agreed with this view and called me a jerk. Meanwhile, the director found the situation amusing and expressed regret for not being the first to witness it. The kids still come to the programs but are picked up and dropped off by their dad, who is annoyed by the glitter he keeps finding. The kids also apologize for taking the gifts because their mother told them to. So, am I the jerk for making a glitter bomb that got stolen? Clarifications. The glitter bomb was not intended to catch a thief. It was a prank on the director, who loves glitter. Some of the volunteers have worked with the director for years, earning his trust. I believe they are not thieves. In previous years, all gifts were stored in an unlocked supply closet. This year, the director has entrusted me with the more valuable items. The gifts were displayed on a stage that is 4 feet off the ground, designed to resemble a living room. The stage's 2 access doors were locked. Any child attempting to climb onto the stage would have been noticed. All employees and volunteers should have been informed that the gifts on stage were purely decorative. Only a few employees knew that one box contained glitter in case it needed to be moved. The woman who stole the gifts is banned from the center, but her children and husband may still attend. The kids have apologized for taking the gifts and like my ribbons and glitter. An officer who patrols the area had to escort the woman out. However, we were told that we couldn't press charges because we didn't suffer any monetary loss. While the staff and director find this event amusing, most volunteers are not happy with me. One even tried to misinform me about a meeting date, not realizing that the director and I can text each other directly. I discovered that the volunteers and parents were upset because their children have been researching how to make glitter bombs, yielding concerning results. I've been advised to refer to them as glitter storms from now on. I should anticipate being covered in glitter for the next few days. The program was successful, and everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. I acquired more glitter, which was well received by the director. Gifts were distributed without any issues, and we added new toys and gaming systems to the program for the children to use. I led a Saturday class on creating a glitter storm and glitter-filled origami. Some of the parents weren't thrilled with the mess, and it earned me the nickname Glitter Storm among the staff. I had Christmas dinner with the director and several others who were very kind to me. The highlight was creating a glitter storm as a joke in their dining room. I also received a lovely gift. Regarding the lady, it appears she has a history of theft, which has made it difficult for her to find employment. She has allegedly stolen and sold other people's belongings. I recognized her as the woman who attempted to take the donated gifts from my home. Consequently, she's facing charges and possibly a divorce based on local rumors. Her children continue to participate in the programs and are now dropped off by their grandmother or father. Upon reflecting on this story, it's evident that intentions and consequences don't always align. The glitter bomb, initially meant as a harmless prank, ended up revealing a thief in an unexpected turn of events. Although it caused controversy and debate amongst the volunteers, it also resulted in a unique and memorable Christmas experience. It's a stark reminder that even well-intentioned actions can lead to unforeseen consequences, and it's important to consider all possible outcomes before acting. Never in my wildest dreams did I anticipate my friendly neighborly routine would turn into a full-blown neighborhood drama. When my cannabis package was mistakenly delivered to a neighbor's house, I found myself at the center of an unexpected storm, labeled as a local drug dealer. Here's how it all went down. For the third time since I've started ordering mail-order marijuana, Mom, the postal worker delivered my package to the incorrect house. The previous 2 times I was able to intercept him, and he corrected his mistake. Since then, I've tried to be at home every time I'm expecting this delivery. I lodged a complaint with Canada Post, but they didn't seem overly concerned. They simply mentioned that it's rare for packages not to be delivered to their rightful owner. I obviously cannot disclose to them the nature of the package and why I'm particularly anxious to receive them. Unfortunately, on this occasion, I was unable to intervene, and my parcel was delivered to one of my neighbors, who I'll refer to as Neighbor A. Neighbor B, who lives next door to her, and I have become friendly and have shared cannabis together. He is aware of how I receive my product. Neighbor A ended up with the package, opened it assuming it was a package she was expecting, and was surprised when she saw its contents. She informed Neighbor B about the situation, expressing her concern about the potential danger to our neighborhood due to such substances being delivered through the mail. She speculated that the substance could be laced with strong substances to create dependency among customers. She also expressed her worry about the potential risk if a child were to open such a package. She blamed the situation on our Prime Minister being a cannabis user, and informed Neighbor B that she had contacted the police. She indicated that they would be stopping by to gather her statement, recover the package in question, and conduct further investigation. She also showed the package to Neighbor B, who saw my name on it. As soon as he could, Neighbor B came over to my house to inform me about the situation. I am aware that if Canada Post discovers the contents of the package and informs the police, the mail-order marijuana mom service is at greater risk than the recipient. However, my name and address are on that package, and it is highly likely that the police will come by to speak with me. I'm unsure what to say in such a situation. Should I deny any knowledge about this, claiming it to be some sort of prank? I'm at a loss about what to do. It's a very peculiar situation to be in. To make matters more complex, Neighbor A made assumptions about the quantity of cannabis, 1 ounce, and jumped to the conclusion that I must be distributing it. She told Neighbor B that she was planning to contact my landlord and accuse me of being a drug dealer. She also stated that she planned to determine my place of employment and inform them about my drug use and alleged drug dealing. I'm not overly worried about this, as both my landlord and employer know me well and trust me. It's unlikely that she will be able to find out where I work. When Neighbor B left to talk to me, Neighbor A was drafting a letter to circulate among all of our neighbors. In it, she planned to inform them about the presence of a drug dealer in the area, the involvement of the police, and her commitment to keeping everyone informed. Neighbor B tried to reason with her that it was harmless, but she was deeply upset and took personal offense at the situation happening in her neighborhood. I'm not overly worried about this, as I don't deal drugs, so spreading such information would be slanderous. Nevertheless, I hope she doesn't go to such lengths. She spends her entire day posting misleading information on Facebook about immigrants and the perceived threat of liberalism, while keeping a close eye on the comings and goings in our neighborhood. She seems more upset about the existence of a house where drugs are used in her neighborhood that she was unaware of, rather than the actual perceived danger of such a house. Here's what happened. I consulted with several lawyers and a retired police officer friend, who advised me not to directly answer any questions, feign ignorance, and keep them informed about my neighbor's erratic behavior. A few days later, 2 police officers came to my house. They informed me that a neighbor had expressed concerns about the neighborhood's safety. They asked about any suspicious activity, unfamiliar people around, concerns about theft or vandalism. I consistently denied noticing anything unusual. Things took a turn when one officer mentioned the neighbor's concern about marijuana being received in the mail. I acted surprised, and they advised me to contact them if I ever received an unexpected package. Regarding the suggestions that my neighbor committed a crime by opening my mail, the lawyers I consulted explained that it's unlikely she would be charged for this. Mail tampering charges are rare and generally reserved for severe cases, like fraudulent activities. Now, on to the neighbor herself. She's been busy reporting her concerns to various parties, including the police, Canada Post, news outlets, and even the Crown Prosecutor's Office. Despite her efforts, she hasn't specifically named me or my house. One family even had to call the police on her due to her harassment. She's accused them of not caring about their children's safety because they laughed off her marijuana concerns. She even told their 14-year-old son about her suspicions, which led to their police call. The reason for her suspicion seems to stem from a Facebook post in a private group, which spread misinformation about marijuana mail orders. It claimed these were a scheme to get children addicted to fentanyl. Everyone in the neighborhood received a letter from her, warning about the situation and offering her services as a neighborhood crime stopper. She also invited everyone to a meeting at her house to discuss the issue and the potential for a neighborhood watch. This woman, who is only 48 and living off a divorce settlement, has a vendetta against marijuana due to personal incidents and prejudices. She plans to contact my landlord and employer once she has more evidence. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do unless she directly harasses me or names me personally. Last weekend, my eccentric neighbor, referred to as Neighbor A, held a meeting at her house. I decided not to attend, though I was curious about the proceedings. Fortunately, a friendly neighbor, Neighbor B, attended and shared the details with me afterwards. It quickly became evident that Neighbor A had exaggerated her story to attract attention to her community meeting. About 20 people attended under the impression they would be discussing the serious issue of fentanyl in the community. Upon arrival, they were surprised to see a sign stating, "The dangers of marijuana/pot/weed in our community." One attendee revealed that Neighbor A had claimed to find fentanyl in her mailbox, causing confusion amongst the attendees. When questioned about the focus on marijuana, Neighbor A became defensive and accused the attendees of being part of a drug ring. The meeting quickly descended into chaos, with attendees trying to leave and others questioning Neighbor A's sanity. Among the attendees was a man who had previously reported Neighbor A to the police for harassing his child. He confirmed that Neighbor A was primarily concerned about cannabis, not fentanyl, causing everyone to feel sympathy for her apparent instability. Neighbor A admitted to lying about finding fentanyl to gain attention and claimed that criminals were using marijuana to create fentanyl addicts. She threatened to report any marijuana users to the police and insisted she would continue to do so after its legalization. After the meeting, the attendees gathered outside to discuss the bizarre events. Neighbor A then announced she had called the police for trespassing. When the police arrived, the attendees explained the situation, and the police advised them to go home, indicating that they were familiar with Neighbor A's frequent complaints. Subsequently, Neighbor A's daughter sought advice from Neighbor B about arranging a mental health assessment for her mother. Apparently, Neighbor A has a history of deceit to further her personal beliefs, even to the detriment of others, including her own family. This unbelievable situation has become a source of amusement for the neighborhood, reminding us that, as my mom always says, it takes all kinds. The story serves as a stark reminder of how misinformation and prejudice can lead to unnecessary panic and conflict. It highlights the importance of open-mindedness and factual understanding when dealing with sensitive issues such as drug use and personal privacy. The incident also underscores the need for clear communication and respect for neighbors' boundaries in community living. Living in a unit block, my housemate and I never thought we'd end up in a parking feud, especially not with our elderly neighbor who, to our surprise, can display the petulance of a child when challenged. Our crime? Merely trying to maneuver 2 cars into one allocated spot while we prepared for a move. Here's how it all went down. My housemate and I, both in our 20s, live in a unit block with a remote-controlled gate and assigned parking spaces. It's standard for residents and tradespeople to park temporarily in the shared driveway for loading and unloading large items, given the scarcity of street parking and the general understanding among residents. We're moving and found a way to fit both our cars in the car park to load boxes/furniture, negating the need to frequently shuffle cars. Our parking spot is at the far end, next to the building. My car was parked there, and my housemate parked behind me, blocking only my spot. We had already spoken to the owners of the two nearest spots who were fine with it. One morning, our elderly neighbor from 3 spots down objected to my housemate's car being outside an assigned bay. He parked across 2 other spots, effectively blocking us. We discovered it was his car when we couldn't get out. Initially, he refused to open his door to my deaf housemate, raising his voice in response. When I approached him, he remained hostile until I specifically requested a face-to-face discussion. He was reluctant to move his car and threatened to call the police and have us fined, though he was also parked illegally. On pointing it out, he claimed it was different for him as an owner. His daughter/granddaughter had to persuade him to move his car. He then started pointing at the no visitor parking signs. I apologized and explained we lived there and were moving out, hence the need for both cars. He refused to believe me. I offered to show him our unit with all the moving boxes as proof, but he walked off. Eventually, he moved his car and my housemate left. As he was slowly parking, his daughter/granddaughter apologized for his behavior. When he was done, I thanked him and apologized again, assuring it wouldn't happen again. His response was to ignore me completely, which was rather shocking given his age. Interestingly, my housemate's car wasn't obstructing anything, just parked outside an assigned bay. His car, on the other hand, was blocking the driveway, 2 neighbors' spots, and at least 4 cars. Nevertheless, as he's an owner, and we're just renters, he was convinced we were in the wrong. Reflecting on this incident, it's clear that communication and understanding are key in shared living situations. The old saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover," holds true in this scenario. We may think that age indicates maturity, but it's evident that this isn't always the case. It's also a reminder that the sense of entitlement can be harmful to the community spirit, and that being a property owner doesn't give one the right to disrespect or disregard others. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.